Welcome to the first Sorted For You podcast with me, Dolores Clark. I think that we're going to be firm friends, so you can call me Dolly. My hope for you is, by listening to this and future Sorted For You podcasts, you'll learn that you have way more potential than you currently think you have, and that you can achieve significantly more than you ever dared hope for. Today, we're going to meet Asma Malik. Asma is one of the most focused people I know. She's an incredible drive and determination with a serious work ethic to match. As you will hear, Asma is going to take us through her journey from India as a pharmacist. She established herself as a homeopathist in the UK. She's written her first book and is fast becoming a property developer. She achieved all of this while managing a flourishing family life. I've learned a great deal from Asma, and I hope that you find this interview motivational too. Welcome to Sorted For You podcast, and I'd like to introduce you to Asma Malik. She is an inspiration to me, and she's a dear friend. I've known her for quite a while. Let her tell you about what she's doing. She's got so many strings to her bow. She's a qualified pharmacist, she has 4 children, and she's written a book, which is what we're going to talk about today, because anyone who feels they have a book inside them, Asma can show you, well, it can be done, because she's done it. And we'll go through that today. But first of all, I'd like to say hello, Asma.
Hello, Dolores.
Could you tell me a bit about your background and what led you to the position you're at today?
I've had a lifelong experience. I'm in my mid-40s, to be honest.
You look really good on it. It's keeping busy, I think.
Yeah, probably. Yes. Thank you for the early introduction. I am a pharmacist. I qualified in India, and I had 3 years experience in India working in the pharmaceutical industry, a hospital pharmacy and retail pharmacy before I decided to come to England. I did an overseas pharmacist course at Sunderland University and then worked in Ipswich Hospital. I did my pre-registration training with Hospital and Boots, the pharmacy chain. And then I qualified as a pharmacist, so I worked for Lloyd's. And then Lloyd's gave me the position of a manager, and I remained a manager for Lloyd's Pharmacy for 5 to 6 years until my 3rd child was born. So it's been a series of university work, experience, learning, changing. After that, I decided to become a locum pharmacist so I could spend more time with children. And by that time, I had my 2nd qualification ready as a homeopath. I used my maternity leaves to complete this training, to be qualified as a practitioner. And I had my clinic with a complementary health centre. I used to work there 1 day a week and work as a pharmacist 2 or 3 days a week. I ran the clinic for 5 years, and after that I wanted to do something different. Because of recession, I wasn't making so much profit. This was a private clinic, and people in the UK are used to more NHS treatments. So also I started writing a lot in my empty clinics. I started getting inspired in writing, and most of my writings were about business and management and leadership, and I thought I must develop this because I can write and I enjoy doing this. So I enrolled myself for studying MBA. Everything just happened in a matter of months.
And that was in business studies, wasn't it?
Business studies, completely commercial.
Okay, because I'm thinking, where did the leap come between being a pharmacist and very clinical, very medical, and then going into business management? Where was the connection? Where did you hope to go with the MBA?
Well, I love to write. And writing was one thing that I really enjoyed. So when I had an empty clinic, I used to write. So it slowly developed into a writing skill. And I thought, then I started exploring books and I started reading books. So what attracted me was these management books and leadership books.
And that's what I love about you, because you never have an empty moment. So where other people think, oh, what can I be doing now? You're never bored. You're always learning, so that you see a space and you make use of that space, don't you?
Yes.
Use to educate yourself. And
I would be sitting in my clinic and I'd be having something that I found out later on, it was called a writer's sleep.
What's that? Explain that a bit.
My receptionist would think that I've gone to sleep because there was no sound coming from and I'd be writing for 4 hours.
It's so in the zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I realized that the really substantial books were those about business and management, leadership. And when I joined UCS, I went to the library, and the first book that I picked was about leadership. And I said, that's it.
Right,
this is
it's a
my
sign.
area.
Yeah,
it's a sign. It was a superstition, but I thought, yes. And then when it came to doing research methods, one subject of MBA was doing research methods.
Okay.
I chose this topic, women in leadership.
Right.
And then I progressed. I got the best marks in that out of all the other subjects.
Fantastic.
So I knew that I was a good researcher. I could really dig deep and research. And then by the time I finished my dissertation, which was about women in leadership and their rise as business leaders, I had 80,000 words collected and unused.
Unused, huh?
I used 15,000 for the dissertation, and I had all these words because I had gone into so many depths about leadership and about women and the problems, and I had developed that questionnaire which I had also passed on to you.
That's
and
right,
a lot of other women, and the feedback.
As part of your research,
As part of my research, yes. And then there was a lot of other academic research, which is the research I did with you was primary research,
right?
And then there was secondary research, means you research on what other people have already researched, but then you find your answers, based on what they have found. And I decided to write a book.
Okay, so that's really inspiring. I suppose lots of women and lots of homeowners out there who are looking to do something similar would say, okay, but I don't have time to do this. I'm busy all the time. I have to look after my children. You've managed it with 4 children and a full-time job. How did you manage to do that?
There are 2 factors here. One is your personal drive, what you can do, and then there's this one secret.
Yeah.
What you can afford not to do.
Okay, tell me more.
So a lot of women try to just do everything. And I think that's the mistake.
That's it. Trying to be superwoman, you can't do it.
They get burnt out. I got burnt out. I didn't realize it until I had this burnt out experience time and time again. And then I thought, something's got to change here. If I'm burnt out, I can't be productive. That means I can't book more locum work. What's better for me? Book a locum work, get the £200, £300, and then spend £50 on a cleaner. So I decided to get help. Use the nursery for my children because they're developing. They don't need mummy all the time.
They don't know. And I think it's healthy to give them that little bit of space to develop their own personalities as well.
That's right. So I tried to help people and in return get help.
Yes.
So I help my parents. They live next door to me. I do their shopping and help them out, and then in return they help me out, and they help with the children and the babysitting. My husband's very good. He's very cooperative, very supportive, and I used to go to work on weekends, and he used to look after the children, and that gave me a break as well. Then I started increasing my work days because I wasn't that tired, because I used help. I was fresh to work, and this is how I just went in this to one work or another. Starting a homeopathic clinic also was not just from medical point of view, but also to develop it as a career at that point.
Right.
It only didn't materialize then, and I've taken a sabbatical, but hopefully if I go to India again, I can learn more, because they're making good money and helping a lot of people.
I don't think that's learning wasted. No learning is ever wasted. And I'm particularly interested about what you said about helping others, because I don't think people understand the more they give, they get more in abundance, so much more in return. So I think it's a lovely balance, really. So I think the more you try to keep to yourself, it's going to be a struggle. And people have to rely on networks, make connections. So if you don't have family who can help you, I'm sure you have close friends who can help as well. So no, I think that's a lovely lesson that you've shared with us there. Everyone does it with help. Even Richard Branson, he always talks about the strength of his teams as well, the people beneath him.
Yes.
So tell me about any particular struggles. Have you come across any barriers against your work? Any sort of negativity that you had to overcome to proceed, or has it been plain sailing?
The biggest negative factor was me. Until I was ready, nothing happened.
Yeah.
I had to first plant the seed in my head. I had to work it out in my mind, then work it out on paper, then discuss it with my husband, my family.
Yeah.
They might agree with some bits and they wouldn't agree with others. I would still pursue with the same discussion with friends, and then I saw that whatever I was doing was, correct, what was right for me. And then the more I was serious about my work, the more support I got from my family, and that's how one thing led to another.
I think you're right, because we get in our own way. I think we have good ideas, and if we don't act on them, I find that we can talk ourselves out of it and say, oh, maybe it's not such a good idea. Oh, maybe other people will think poorly of me. So you're right. It's a case of just nurturing those seeds and letting them grow. No, thank you about that. Okay, for someone who's thinking of writing a book, tell me about the practical processes that you have to go through. Because I remember when you were doing your book, you had a little team with you, and you said, okay, right now we have to do this, and you had delegated roles to people to do. So tell me about the practical side of you've written your book, so the practicalities of getting that book published.
I started looking at what other writers have been doing, and their experience told me that you have to read each and every single book written on how to write. And I thought, I'm not spending another decade of my life reading so much. Because
you've done so much studying, so much learning, and you're poised to go. Yeah.
That's right. I said, if you want to swim, you jump in the pool.
Exactly.
And so I thought, I'm just going to write, but I'm not going to do it blindly. So I started thinking about it, and an advertisement from Author House came my way. And I said, okay, I have to spend about £500 on this, but truly speaking, I haven't taken any help from them. They were just phoning me 1 month to the next, and I would say, "Oh yeah, I'm writing it next month. I'm starting my work next month."
I've never heard of this Author House. What was their purpose?
They are a publishing house.
Okay.
You have to pay some money, and they help you with their materials, their websites, and show you how to publish your book.
Okay.
But I haven't published a book with them. I did it on my own through Amazon Kindle.
Okay.
And I'm still writing a book for them.
All right, yeah, good.
So I just paid the membership, and I read some of the information that was on their website. But basically, it was just self-taught. I went through my dissertation, and I thought, what am I going to do with this? And I refined it, and then I thought, I'm going to make 10 chapters out of this.
Right.
So that'll be my book 1. And then if I want to do something more, that'll be the book 2. So I decided to just write the title. And on 10 different pages, I just wrote the titles, what I wanted, how I wanted it to progress.
Good. So you had the skeleton, you had the bones of your book there.
That's right. I first made the bones. And then I started filling the materials from my research and tried to put it as a story. And I had to do a lot of editing, and I still think that I'm going to edit the book again, because you're never happy. Some people edit it 9 times, 10 times after it's published.
Right, so you can continue. Well, you see that in books all the time. You say first edition, second edition, don't you? So yeah, they're tweaked continually.
You're never happy. You're never happy. And when you edit it, and you're so exhausted, by the time you finish the book, you're exhausted with that work that you can't give enough focus on the editing part.
Yeah. And I think it's always so good to like have a little break, a little breather. You've finished it, you read it, someone else reads it as well, just to make sure.
And in spite of that, I had 2 people read it and they gave me their comments. What happens practically is that when they're sitting and editing my book, they'll edit the first 4 chapters really well. After that, they get tired.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see the mistakes slip through, some grammar mistakes, and I could have done this better. And as women, we're never happy with our work anyway. So I'm glad I'm wearing 2-3 different hats, so I can put my attention on something else and not just get so stressed about things not being 100%, not being perfect in that area. Just imperfect book, never mind.
But and I've heard somewhere, if you wait until the moment's right, until everything's perfect, it's too late.
Yes.
You just got to get your feet wet, just get in there straight away.
Yes, and what's the worst thing that can happen, It's your book.
Yeah, and I suppose if you get critics reading it, they're reading it, and that's a good thing.
Yes. So I thought, if I don't write the first book, even as a Kindle, as a child, I'm never going to be able to write my second book slightly better or worse. I don't know.
So we'll look forward to seeing that book come out, and we'll definitely get you back, and maybe we'll have webcam that time so everyone can see you and we can talk about the book.
Sure.
What advice would you give to anyone else who wants to write a book? If someone came up to you thinking, Asma, I'm thinking of writing a book, what advice would you give them?
I said, just buy paper and pen and start writing.
Just start.
Morning thoughts. First thing in the morning.
Get your thoughts down. Mm-hmm.
Yes. If you can't focus, then wake up a little bit early. And working in about 1.5 hour chunks. Even if it is 1.5 hour that day, and that's it.
Yes.
And then next day it's a different flow, and there's a flow that comes, and the nature helps you once you get started.
That's it.
Biggest hurdle.
Yeah, getting that momentum going.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're right. Even if you've got half an hour, just get some notes down. Just get some. If you haven't got time, you haven't got pen on paper. If you've got your mobile phone with a voice app on it, you can just take voice notes, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think everyone's got time, because if you've got time to sit and watch soap operas, you've got more than enough time to write a book. Yeah,
definitely. All my extra time came from not watching television.
Yeah, and that's my advice to the listeners out there. Switch off your television. You get so much done. Okay, what resources and tools do you find invaluable? What do you think, okay, I couldn't do without this?
My passion.
Yeah.
My drive, my energy. That's internal resources. You can't buy that in a shop.
No. But like you said, sometimes you just think, I can't. What keeps you going?
Physical activity.
Okay.
Because if your physical activity is high, that's going to affect your mental activity.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel sometimes my mind's running and my body is just dragging behind. But then sometimes you can work it the other way around. You make your body work, and the mind will start working even faster.
Autopilot. You get that's athlete's adrenaline going.
That's right.
Now I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes you think, I don't want this rain and it's dark, but I've got if I can't get out and get a bit of fresh air, I've got DVDs that I listen to. It's like exercise DVDs that I will do first thing in the morning or last thing at night. Just gentle exercise.
And my pregnancies helped me here.
Oh, right.
When I was pregnant, I used to listen to other women, and they have blood pressure, I have this problem, I have that problem, and I used to just go out in fresh air. I had morning sickness as well, but I used fresh air.
Yeah.
You go for a walk in the fresh air, and when you go to work and you have to do the day, you do the day.
Do you listen to that, Princess Catherine? A bit of fresh air will do you a world of good. Okay, so we've talked about your background and a bit about the book. Actually, we haven't talked that much about the book itself. We talked about processes around the book. Please tell me, who's the book aimed at, and tell me what's in it.
The book is titled Women in Leadership and Their Rise as Business Leaders.
Okay.
Actually, it's the principles of women in leadership.
The principles of women in leadership.
And their rise as business leaders.
Rise as business leaders, yeah.
So it's aimed at anybody who can spend 2 or 3 years of their life to develop themselves in business and then just go for it. Just become a businesswoman.
Yeah, and I must reiterate, you don't have to spend thousands going off to college, university. Start off small, and if you can mix with people, other business leaders, or even if you can't do that, start off networking. So internet, Facebook, just find networks that will help you. Yeah, YouTube, and I find TED Talks an excellent source of information.
That's right, yes. I listen to a lot of other people talk, and that's where I get a part of my inspiration. The book, now coming back to the book, I divided them into 10 chapters, and they're all inspiring chapters. It talks about the law of attraction. You can attract things to yourself. It's about hard work. It's about what legacy you're going to leave behind you. Where do you see yourself at 60, 65? What age do you want to retire? And you can work it backwards. You can think, okay, I've got 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. And what am I going to do? How am I going to work it? So you've got to work forward and backwards.
Yeah, I must admit, I read the book and I did enjoy it, and I found it useful as a little manual, not to read from cover to cover, but to dip in and take from it at different times. So different aspects or different chapters, think, oh yeah, that resonates with me right now. So I found it useful in that respect.
And it's about continuous development, continuously learning a new skill, improving, experimenting, going ahead, meeting people, mentors, networking, and things start happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
I that's right. Until you start yourself, until you get that ball rolling, nothing will happen. You have to make that start yourself. Now, before we wind up, can you tell me more about when we expect to see another book from you, or tell me about what do we expect to see from you next?
Well, I'm writing a book on creativity in business, how to develop your creative potential. Because while studying MBA, I came across this phrase, in business there are only 2 profitable activities. One is innovation and one is marketing. So I thought, let me focus on innovation. How can people become more innovative? What are the physical attributes, how you have to develop your mind, how can that then help you develop new things? And that took me down different mental aspects. I went through hypnosis. I used to self-hypnotize myself from YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And that led me to meditation.
Okay.
And the powers of meditation.
Yeah.
How you can become creative. It's when the message reaches your subconscious mind, you are able to then draw upon a lot more resources than you can think of.
Yeah. And I think if you take a few minutes in the morning, as you get more experience at meditation, deep thinking, you can take maybe long, you can build up, but maybe initially take a few minutes, 15 minutes, just sit. And if you don't want to meditate as such, you can just sit and plan and visualize what you want. Visualize where you want to go, how you want the day to go. And then you will find that you start acting on those thoughts once you have them clear. Yeah.
Yes, and even though I haven't got the book ready, I have manifested 2 properties in Colchester.
Yeah.
And I have manifested a 20-bedroom nursing home in Felixstowe.
That's just amazing. I find that simply amazing.
And I was so lucky. I have always been so lucky when I have put my thoughts to it.
Yes.
That I just feel that things start happening. And I haven't even had time to look for a job as an MBA. That is my latest qualification. Because I'm handling all these different things at the moment.
Yeah, you've got all these balls in the air. Yeah. And I love that comment from your book. You said, everything that I have today started off with a thought. I really appreciate you coming, so excited to hear about all the activities you're doing. Thank you so much for contributing to the podcast. We'll look forward to hearing from you again in the future.
Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed listening to the Sorted For You podcast as much as I enjoyed recording it. I see Asma Baig as a role model. You can get a copy of Asma's ebook from Amazon. It's called Principles of Women in Leadership and Their Rise as Business Leaders. I hope that by listening to Asma's story, you begin to realise that ordinary women like you and me can achieve so much. If you would like to know more about the principles of women in leadership, Asma would love to hear from you. She can be contacted via her blog at womensriseasbusinessleaders.blogspot.co.uk. This interview has been the first of what I hope to be many informative and inspirational podcasts. If you're a female business owner, or you help empower women, you have a story to tell, and would like to make a difference to others, please contact me, Dolores Clark, or you can call me Dolly, at podcast@sortedforyou.co.uk. That's sorted for you with the number 4 in the middle. I'd love your feedback, ideas and comments, so please get in touch. Subscribe to my email list and I'll always inform you of the latest release. I really look forward to being with you again soon. Bye for now.